Hi, my name is Carrie Babcock, and this is my review for the movie Breakfast at Tiffany's. Um, Breakfast at Tiffany's is based on a novel written by Truman Capote, published in 1958. In the novel, the point of view is from the narrator, which is Paul in the movie, who observes Holly's complicated lifestyle. The movie is a love story between Holly and Paul, making it a romantic comedy. 3 years after the book came out, George Axelrod wrote the screenplay for the movie, and Blake Edwards directed it. That's where we get to directors. The director is Blake Edwards. Blake Edwards was born on July 26, 1922. He began acting in the 1940s and soon after started writing scripts and then moved to directing after that. His first film he ever directed was Bring Your Smile Along in 1955. People often refer to Breakfast at Tiffany's, though, as Edwards' breakthrough film. Most people who know Edwards is because of that movie. Edwards was also the master of comedies. Not only was he good at romantic comedies, he was also good at slapstick comedy. This is a type of physical comedy characterized by a broad humor, absurd situations, and vigorous, usually violent action. Blake Edwards even has an episode on the show American Masters about his work as a director. According to his wife, Julie Andrews, Edwards struggled with depression all his life. She said too that he had a very depressive personality. At one point, the depression got so bad that Edwards was considering how he was going to commit suicide. Despite his depression, Andrews described how charismatic Edwards was and how he had a good sense of humor, specifically dark humor. He ended up raising 5 children in total, 2 were biological. It is really clear how much Edwards loved his kids and cared for them. Edwards died on December 15th, 2010, at the age of 88 years old. He ended up directing about 39 films and is known to this day for his amazing screenwriting, producing, and directing skills. Now, I feel like there are 2 main actors. The first one is Audrey Hepburn. The character Holly Golightly was played by Audrey Hepburn. Hepburn was 31 years old when she filmed Breakfast at Tiffany's and played the part of a 19-year-old. She ended up making $750,000 for the film, which is about the same as $7.3 million today. This made her the highest paid actress at the time. Something else I found was that Hepburn originally didn't want the role of Holly because she believed it would ruin her image. Although she eventually took the part and did an amazing job, making her portrayal of Holly iconic. Hepburn played Holly in a way that seemed like a careless person at first, but then as the movie went on, we learn how hurt she has been from the past. Hepburn shows how Holly distracts herself from reality and takes comfort in wacky and bright things. Hepburn was born on May 4th, 1929. She was in at least 30 films, with the movie called Always being her last one. Near the 60s and 70s, though, Hepburn gradually stopped being in films to spend more time with her family. One thing that Hepburn was known for was her charity work. Hepburn became the UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, where she advocated for children's rights and used her fame to help others. She ended up dying on January 20th, 1993, from appendix cancer. The next actor is George Peppard. Paul Varjak was played by George Peppard. He is known for his lead roles in films such as Hannibal, Banishuk, and of course, Breakfast at Tiffany's. In his earlier years, Peppard joined the Marine Corps and then went to university for engineering. Later, he realized that he would rather do acting and left to go to the Carnegie Institute of Technology. I don't know what movie he was first ever acted in, but I do know his first super big role was playing Paul Varjak in Breakfast at Tiffany's. Peppard played his part very well. He was very compassionate, which was a good contrast to Holly. He also had past and current things he was dealing with that troubled him, and he showed that while acting. Apparently, Pepper did not enjoy his experience while filming Breakfast at Tiffany's. Edwards didn't even want Pepper to get the main role because of his cold and conceited behavior. Him and Hepburn often clashed with each other, and there was a lot of tension on the set. Even though Breakfast at Tiffany's might, has been, might be his well known movie for acting in, it was probably his most difficult and troublesome movie to work in. Peppard was known for being a very difficult actor to work with. His difficulty even got as bad as him being known as the box office poison. Now for the storyline. Holly Golightly is a careless city lady that spends her time at parties and in a mysterious place called Sing Sing. She uses her craziness and quirkiness to hide the fact that she is actually very lonely and insecure. She is a very quirky lady at home, and you know this by how everything is placed around her house. She has a bathtub cut in half to make a couch, a telephone shut in a suitcase, shoes in the refrigerator, and a nameless cat, and more. During the beginning of the movie, Holly gets a new neighbor named Paul Varjak, who is a writer struggling with writer's block. They soon become friends, and Paul often finds himself frequently coming to Holly's aid. For example, he helps her when someone from her past decides to show up again. Their interactions together end up inspiring Paul to write again. He actually writes a story about Holly. After a while, it seems that they are becoming more than just friends. Holly and Paul end up spending a day hanging out together, and Paul confesses how he loves Holly. He even gets a ring engraved for her in Tiffanys and Company that he got out of a Cracker Jack box. Holly rejects him and ends up falling in love with this rich South American dude named Jose and plans to live with him in South America. But Holly only wants this guy for his money. To finance herself, Holly gets $100 when she sends messages from a prisoner who used to be a mob boss to his lawyer. Then, when Holly and Jose go to her apartment one day, she gets a telegram that states that her beloved brother has died. She is a wreck. And where am I? She's a wreck, and months pass before the next scene. Near the end of the movie, Holly gets arrested and put in jail for the night because she was involved with the prisoner mob boss. Because she went in jail, Jose doesn't want her to come to South America. Paul picks Holly up from jail, and as they are driving in a cab, Holly throws her cat, out of the car. Paul runs after the cat and leaves behind the engraved ring that was meant for Holly. Paul was mad about the way Holly was acting. But then Holly ends up running after Paul, and the film ends with Paul and Holly kissing in the rain. There are three main characters in this film. First one is Holly Golightly. At first, Holly seems to be childlike and careless, but through the movie, we come to find out that she has gone through a lot of pain growing up and tries to mask it through her current lifestyle. We learn that she was married at 14, then ran away. She left her brother Fred, although still deeply misses him, and even calls Paul Fred throughout the entire movie because he reminded her of him. Holly has tried to forget about her past by living the crazy lifestyle that she does, but she can't always hide her sadness when she thinks about it. The second main character is Paul Varjak. Paul is a writer struggling with writer's block. He has a level head and a kind heart. He's a lot more toned down compared to Holly Golightly, although Paul has some secrets too. A lady named Patricia Neal is in love with Paul, and even though she is married to an older man, she tries to see Paul whenever she can. Whenever she leaves behind money for him. Patricia even gave Paul the apartment room that he moved into. But near the end of the movie, Paul ends it with her so he can be with Holly. Now, the third main character is Mr. Unioshi. He is played by Mickey Rooney. Mr. Unioshi was a stereotypical Asian character that brought even more humor to the film. He was a fairly small part, but was someone you won't forget. Mr. Unioshi lived in the apartment too and would have to let Holly in when she forgot her key. He would get very mad about having to let her in and even threaten to call the cops multiple times. Although 70 years ago it might have been a great comedic relief to have him in the show, it now can be considered offensive and is no longer the same type of funniness as it was a long time ago. But nevertheless, it is not anywhere near a big part of the film and shouldn't hinder you from watching it. Now, why is this movie called Breakfast at Tiffany's? Holly Golightly often visits Tiffany's and Company jewelry store, hoping and imagining for a life of being rich and famous. Tiffany's provided an escape for Holly from her regular life where she spends too much of the money she doesn't have and a lot of have a lot of she spends the money she doesn't have a lot of in the first place. Camera angles. Blake Edwards uses a lot of different camera angles to bring the film together. One great shot that establishes the setting and tone is at the very beginning of the movie when Holly is standing in front of Tiffany's and Company. She is wearing her classic black dress and sunglasses. The avenue is empty, representing how lonely Holly is, while looking into the store, wishing she was rich and famous. Another shot is a medium shot of Holly sitting on her windowsill, playing her guitar, singing Moon River. The song was originally named Blue River, but then Johnny Mercer changed the name to Moon River and wrote the lyrics to be sung by Audrey Hepburn specifically. In the movie, while she is singing the song, Paul is watching from his window. This shows a very different side of Holly compared to the normal crazy side we normally see. When Holly's brother Fred died, there is a high-angle shot looking down at Holly laying on the bed. She is staying completely still, and the shot makes it seem like she lays there for a long, long time. It continues to show how sad Holly really is, and how she is practically at rock bottom. Yet some more great shots are the ones when both Holly and Paul explore New York together. There's a bunch of tracking, long and medium shots timed perfectly to show the chemistry between the two. This is them exploring Tiffany's and Company.
Isn't it wonderful? Do you see what I mean? How nothing bad could ever happen to you in a place like this? It isn't that I give a hoot about jewelry except diamonds, of course. Like that. What do you think?
Well,
Of course, personally, I think it'd be tacky to wear diamonds before I'm 40.
well, you're right. But in the meantime, you should have something.
I'll wait.
No, I'm going to buy you a present. You bought me one, a typewriter ribbon, and it brought me luck.
All right, but Tiffany's can be pretty expensive.
I've got my check and $10.
Oh, I wouldn't let you cash a check. But a present for $10 or under, that I'll accept. Of course, I don't exactly know what we're going to find at Tiffany's for $10.
You like that?
Now, there are a few themes throughout the movie. One of the themes is worldly things, possessions versus emotional connection. At the beginning of the movie, Holly believes that her materialistic things will bring her happiness. She consistently spends her money and spends time at Tiffany's, wanting more and more things. She's caught up on how the world thinks you need to be happy. Throughout the movie, Holly learns that her material wealth isn't more than her relationships with others. Her friendship with Paul is more meaningful than anything she can buy. Another theme is identity. Holly was constantly struggling with her true identity. She ran away from her past and is now trying to start a new life, but doesn't know who she really is. When she ran away, she changed her name from Lula Mae Barnes to Holly Golightly. This shows how she tried to get rid of her old identity and make herself want a new one for herself. The new Holly Golightly puts on these glamorous outfits, pretending that she is wealthy and famous and hangs out with wealthy people, while in reality, she is trying to get by month to month. She also calls herself a wild thing and is scared to be tied down by anyone. Another theme that I found is the past versus reality. Holly spends her recent years trying to forget about the past and makes a new name for herself. She tries to hide her true self by going to parties and imagining herself as wealthy. Holly tries to crowd her current life with lots of things to distract her from the fact that she is actually very lonely and broken. Holly needs to face reality and stop trying to hide from who she really is to heal from her past and find peace. That is my review on Breakfast at Tiffany's. I hope you enjoyed it and are inspired to watch the film. It was really good. And I think that if you have time, you should watch it for yourself. Thank you.